April 20th, 2021, a quiet morning in Istanbul hides something far more sinister beneath the surface. A young man named Faruk Fatih Özer steps into a black vehicle carrying nothing but a backpack. Inside that bag are not just personal belongings, it's suspected to contain documents, a laptop and a flash drive loaded with nearly $2 billion worth of cryptocurrency. At just 27, Faruk is the founder and CEO of one of Turkey's biggest crypto exchanges, Thodex. But today, he's not heading to his company's office, he's vanishing. As he glides through Istanbul airport, surveillance cameras capture his calm demeanor as if this were just another business trip. Within hours, footage of him passing passport control begins flooding Turkish news channels, igniting a media storm. It's not just the disappearance of a man, it's the collapse of trust for hundreds of thousands of investors who had poured their money into a platform they believed was the future. By nightfall, whispers of a nationwide scam are circulating on social media, and with those whispers comes a gut-wrenching realization: the money, like Faruk, might be gone forever. To understand this vanishing act, we have to rewind to 2017, a year when Turkey's economy is teetering on the edge. The lira is spiraling downward, inflation is climbing, and public trust in the financial system is evaporating by the day. As traditional banks lose their grip, digital currencies emerge as an unexpected lifeline for Turkish citizens. Bitcoin crosses $7,000 and continues to surge, capturing the attention of those desperate to safeguard their money. Enter Faruk Fatih Özer, then a 23-year-old from Istanbul with no background in finance or software development. Armed with just $11,000, he co-founds a crypto exchange alongside his brothers, initially naming it CoinX. Launching a crypto platform in Turkey at that time only requires a modest financial outlay, around $6,000. Faruk uses the rest of his money not on improving the technology, but on building visibility and trust. Billboards begin appearing in Istanbul's busiest streets, advertising CoinX with bold promises and celebrity endorsements. In 2019, a rebrand follows and the company adopts a new name, Thodex. TV spots, Instagram influencers and popular Turkish actresses begin singing its praises, claiming to invest through the platform. It isn't just about marketing, it's about building the illusion of credibility. What really draws the public in, however, are the flashy promotions, giveaways of luxury items, branded merchandise, and even a Porsche. The platform also becomes one of the first in Turkey to allow Bitcoin purchases via credit cards and cash ATMs, opening doors for everyday investors. This bold accessibility sends Thodex soaring in popularity, transforming from a modest startup into a crypto empire seemingly overnight. With a headquarters in Istanbul's business district and a growing staff of 85 employees, the company starts to look like a legitimate financial powerhouse. But behind the scenes, a darker reality is taking shape, one that even Thodex's own employees have no idea is brewing. Faruk isn't just building a crypto platform, he's constructing the foundation of a digital Ponzi scheme. By early 2021, Thodex boasts over 100,000 users and handles tens of millions in trades every day. Its growth seems unstoppable, and Faruk's status in Turkey's crypto world is cemented as visionary, or so it appears. In early April 2021, Thodex begins offering what seems like the deal of the decade: millions of Dogecoins promised to new users. With Dogecoin trending thanks to TikTok and Elon Musk's tweets, this marketing move sends registration numbers through the roof. But the reality is far less generous. Many users receive no bonuses at all. As complaints start trickling in, customer support goes silent, fueling anxiety in online communities. Then, just as the tension starts to simmer, Turkey's central bank drops a bombshell on April 16th. A nationwide ban on crypto payments is scheduled to take effect by the end of the month. Panic takes hold as users rush to pull their funds out of Thodex before regulations hit. But instead of opening the gates, the platform starts to stall. Transactions slow, withdrawals hang in limbo, and a disturbing pattern of failed requests begins to surface. Despite the looming freeze, Thodex suddenly launches another aggressive promotion on April 17th. Dogecoin offered at a 30% discount. It feels like a last-minute gold rush, and in just 24 hours, the platform records over $500 million in Dogecoin sales. That day marks the exchange's highest volume ever, totaling a record-breaking $1.7 billion. But unbeknownst to the public, it is also the final performance of a carefully orchestrated scam. Withdrawals become entirely disabled under the guise of technical maintenance. Users still see trades occurring on the front end, but no one can access their money. Those who reach out receive canned replies claiming temporary inconvenience. But inside Thodex, the situation is spiraling out of control, and it's not just the users who are being locked out. Employees in tech and finance suddenly lose access to internal systems, triggering widespread confusion. Communication with leadership breaks down completely, and Faruk is nowhere to be found. Soon, workers realize something far worse. They too have been cut out of the loop. What seemed like an ambitious crypto startup now looks like the scene of a massive digital heist. On April 20th, 2021, Thodex posts a cryptic message on its website, claiming a temporary suspension for maintenance. No timeline, no explanation, just a locked platform and a wave of panic sweeping across 400,000 users. People can no longer access their funds, and the website becomes a digital ghost town. Social media erupts with outrage as victims demand answers and attempt to organize through online forums. Then comes the footage. Faruk Fatih Özer calmly passing through passport control at Istanbul airport on the morning of April 20th. Hours later, investigators confirm he boarded a flight to Albania with his now infamous backpack in hand. Authorities believe that bag holds not just personal tech, but the digital keys to billions in stolen cryptocurrency. Meanwhile, Thodex's official social channels release a bizarre statement claiming negotiations with foreign investors are underway. Faruk promises to return in a few days to resolve everything, but no one hears from him again. The website disappears along with the money and any remaining credibility. The Turkish government acts fast, launching a nationwide investigation and issuing arrest warrants for individuals tied to Thodex. Within days, 83 people are detained, including Faruk's own brother and sister. Interpol becomes involved and issues a red notice, turning the manhunt into an international operation. Yet despite these efforts, Faruk appears to have vanished without a trace. For over a year, there are no confirmed sightings and no digital footprints. Investigators are left chasing shadows, while the stolen billions remain locked away in cold wallets. But in mid-2022, a break finally comes. A black BMW X5, parked for days in the quiet Albanian coastal town of Vlora, catches the attention of local police. They launch quiet surveillance on a nearby house, and just days later, a man steps out. It's Faruk, disheveled, quiet, and unaware that his freedom is about to end. Albanian police move swiftly, arresting Faruk on the spot without incident. During initial questioning, he claims he has been living in modest neighborhoods and surviving only on small amounts of cash sent by family. He insists he never fled with stolen money and says his intent was to secure funding to repay users. Faruk also argues that his failure to return was due to the Interpol red notice blocking his movements. Despite resisting extradition and claiming fear of an unfair trial in Turkey, the evidence continues to mount. Eventually, after prolonged legal battles, Albanian courts approve his return. In April 2023, Faruk arrives back in Istanbul under heavy security and in handcuffs. Cameras capture his expressionless face as he enters the courthouse, now the face of one of Turkey's most devastating financial scandals. In court, Faruk and his defense team paint Thodex as a legitimate business brought down by external instability. They argue that the platform suffered unreported hacker attacks and liquidity crises that forced its sudden closure. Faruk also claims to have refunded over $10 million to more than 1,000 users before operations were suspended. But prosecutors present a much darker picture, one of deception, laundering, and careful premeditation. Blockchain investigators from Whitestream trace over 5,000 bitcoins worth around $125 million that were quietly transferred to the US-based Kraken exchange between August 2020 and February 2021. These transfers were made in small, regular batches, carefully structured to avoid detection. Further digging reveals that large sums were routed through Turkish, Cypriot, and Albanian bank accounts tied to shell companies linked to Faruk's relatives. This explains why his brother and sister were among those arrested. Authorities estimate that up to $2.6 billion may remain hidden in cold wallets that are still inaccessible. Unless Faruk chooses to unlock them, that money may never be recovered. In September 2023, the Turkish courts deliver a sentence that stuns the world: 11,196 years in prison for Faruk Fatih Özer. The charges include fraud, money laundering, and operating a criminal enterprise on a scale rarely seen in modern finance. The sentence isn't just punitive, it's symbolic, meant to reflect the deep national betrayal and psychological scars left behind. For the nearly 400,000 victims, it's a verdict drenched in both relief and bitterness. Despite the ruling, Faruk continues to fight in court, filing appeals and clinging to the narrative that Thodex simply collapsed under market pressure. He insists that no fraud was committed and that he still hopes to recover the funds to make victims whole. But authorities remain skeptical, as the majority of the assets are still missing. Experts believe the keys to these digital vaults may never be revealed. Economists estimate billions may remain untouched in cold wallets, inaccessible without Faruk's cooperation, and unless he decides to speak, that money may be lost forever. Today, the legacy of Thodex stands as a cautionary tale in the world of crypto, a brutal reminder of what can happen when trust is traded for illusion. Faruk's story is no longer one of ambition, but of manipulation at a national scale. He built an empire on hope and dismantled it in silence. The victims, many of whom invested their life savings, are left holding screenshots and broken promises. As the courtroom lights dim and appeals drag on, one truth remains painfully clear. In the new frontier of digital finance, justice moves slowly, but eventually it arrives. Thanks for watching. If this story shocked you as much as it did us, help us keep uncovering the truth. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more real-life investigations that expose the shadows behind the headlines. See you in the next story.